It's time for Voice of Indie. Your hosts today are Beem Weeks, author, producer, and marketing monster for independent multimedia publisher Fresh Ink Group, and Stephen Gies, author, producer, composer, and publisher for Fresh Ink Group.
Happy Wednesday, everybody. It's that time again. Time for another episode of the Voice of Indie podcast, episode number 138. I am your host, Beem Weeks, and with me is my co-host and cohort in this whole get-up, Mr. Stephen Gies. How you doing, Stephen?
I'm doing fine. I'm sitting down here in Alabama. We were just ruminating about the fact that everybody on the show tonight is from Michigan, including me. But boy, what a contrast this time of year, huh? You guys are talking like 30s, and we're talking like we're going to be 80 this weekend, and everything's in bloom.
We rode out to 40s today.
We're
at 46
party on.
Right now. Yeah.
Party on. So we want to welcome a new Fresh Ink Group member, George Dismukes, who was a recent guest on the show and has a whole bunch of books out there. He is jumping ship. His next book is going to be a Fresh Ink Group book, and we're working on that right now, called Paradise My Prison by George Dismukes. So welcome to Fresh Ink Group, George.
Welcome, George. All right. Over the past few weeks, past few months, I guess, you've heard me discussing the Operation Whiteout audiobook. Operation Whiteout, a Mac McDowell, not mystery, mission. Mac McDowell Mission by Robert G. Willis Croft. That's going to be out any day now, the audiobook version of that. So stay tuned. Keep your eyes and ears peeled on the newsletter and on Twitter and all that. And, hey, if you want to join us tonight, here's how you can do that on this episode.
Call 516-453-9902 right now with your questions or comments for tonight's guest. Or post a note on Twitter with hashtag Fresh Ink Group in the body of the tweet, and we'll read it on air. That's 516-453-9902 or hashtag Fresh Ink Group on Twitter.
Yeah, call in and throw your comments out on Twitter. Become part of the show. Come on. What do you got to lose?
Now, after we introduce our guest, we'll learn a little bit more details about it, but tonight's guest is planning on giving away a free book to somebody who calls in tonight, too. Mm-hmm. So, boy, that's some encouragement. Get on the phone, people. We've already got 2 callers on hold. We'd like to get a couple of more, so let's get this moving. All right, Operation Whiteout, a Mac McDowell mission, is now out and selling out there like crazy. It's doing very well, and all of the editions are out. Beem just mentioned the audio book, which will be appearing in Audible, ACX, and Amazon any day now. Operation Whiteout, a Mac McDowell mission. We got another new book, Redemption, a Father's Fatal Decision by Gwen M. Plano. That's out now and doing very well. We've got A.K. Wingler's latest, How to Start and Run a Food Truck Business. Actually, it's How to Start and Run Your Own Food Truck Business in Tennessee. That's out. It's all over the place. And the second book in Barbara Johnson's Sassy series, that's Sassy Uncovers Peter Allen's Secret by B.A. Johnson, is also out there now. That's an illustrated children's chapter book. So we got some more stuff out, Beam?
We do. Karen Engel's memoir, Outshine, an ovarian cancer memoir, that is out now, and that's doing quite well in the sales department, and you can be sure to get your copy. How to Teach Driving, Parents and Instructors editions by Kenneth Lindquist. Both of those are out right now. And last week's guest, for Wayne Greenhouse, I Hate My Mother, which is also a memoir. That's out as well, so get over there to wherever you buy your books and grab copies of those. Grab multiple copies. Make gifts out of them and all that good stuff. And if you want to know about what's coming up on future episodes of this show or books coming out in the future, we have a newsletter. And here's how you can subscribe to that. If you're not subscribed, why not?
Stay on top of these podcasts and all things Fresh Ink Group with our weekly digital newsletter. New releases, videos, stories, excerpts, interviews, and more. Sign up now on the homepage of FreshInkGroup.com and be the one who knows what's what.
What?
What? So let's have a look at what's going on with print sales this week. When I made this list a couple of days ago, I went over there and checked, and we were at Submariner. 30 Years of Hijinks and Keeping the Fleet Afloat is our #1 print bestseller this week. That book's been out for 4 months now, something like that, and it's still going like gangbusters. If you received the newsletter, you saw in today that we showed you that just a random go over there and look, that book has been riding in the top 50 or top 25 in its categories for 4 months now. In fact, I believe it was in the 30s on that thing. Right now I'm looking at number 34 over on Amazon. But yesterday, Jerry sent me a note, and when I went over there and looked, he was at number 7. So that book has been at number 1. It's been almost 3 weeks at number 1 on Amazon. Now it's riding in the top 10 to 25 or so and doing very well. And print sales, it's our #1 bestseller this week. When I made this list 2 days ago, it was also in the number 3 slot. So the hardcover and the softcover are selling almost equally as well as each other. And man, that is saying a lot, especially when you talk, bigger numbers like this book is moving right now. In our number 2 slot, Karen Ingalls, Outshine, an Ovarian Cancer Memoir, the 2nd edition. Now, she put out the first version of that book in 2012, and since then we've put out the new Fresh Ink Group 2nd edition with an extra chapter, a bunch of updated material, and some cool stuff in there. So that's Outshine, an Ovarian Cancer Memoir. Now, when I made the list, in the number 3 slot was Gwen M. Plano's Redemption, A Father's Fatal Decision. But in the last few minutes, Submariner has pushed that down into the number 4 slot, and Submariner has jumped up into the number 3 slot. That's a sub that just won't stay down. I think he's coming up for air. So, in the 4th slot, 2 days ago, we had Shipwrecked and Rescued, The City of Bangor. That's by Larry Jorgensen. He's a journalist and historian. He goes out and does a lot of legwork and research. He's got 2 books about the Coca-Cola Trail. He's got some cool stuff. But Shipwrecked and Rescued is about back in the 1930s. Walter P. Chrysler himself sent hundreds of Chrysler automobiles on a ship across Lake Superior to Canada, and a winter storm made the ship founder, and the ship never got there. They wound up having to have a daring, spectacular rescue of the crew. And then Walter P. Chrysler said, I'm not leaving those cars out there, and he hired some people to go rescue the cars. That's what the book is about. It's very, very cool. That's Shipwrecked and Rescued, The City of Bangor. Now, in the 5th slot 2 days ago was the other Outshine, an Ovarian Cancer Memoir, the hardcover edition. Again, that hardcover is selling almost as well as the softcover. But now, as of a minute ago, that got pushed down, and Shipwrecked, the hardcover edition, moved into our top 5 bestsellers. So now we have Shipwrecked and Rescued in there in 2 slots, both hardcover and softcover. There's a trend here, people. Hardcovers are selling, and they're selling like I've never seen them sell before. Sometimes they're even outselling the softcovers, and you can see that with our list. So anyway, Submariner, Outshine, Redemption, and Shipwrecked are the 4 books that are all duking it out for slots in our top 5 print bestsellers this week. Congratulations, everybody.
All right. Congratulations. Yeah. Hey, listeners, if you ever miss an episode of this show, or if you're new to it and you want to go back into the archives and find out what we're all about, here's how you can find the archives.
Find your favorite show in the Voice of Indie archives on YouTube at Fresh Ink Group, StephenGees.com, BeamWeeks.com, FreshInkGroup.com, and on Spotify. And now, you can listen on iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, and TuneIn. Just search The Voice of Indie, all one word.
All right.
All right. You want to roll a commercial before we introduce our guest?
I thought you might say that.
Yeah, let's see what this whole Shipwrecked and Rescued is all about.
Shipwrecked and Rescued.
More than 6,000 shipwrecks have been recorded on the Great Lakes, but only one offers a true life adventure, like the 1926 rescue of the city of Bangor off the Keweenaw Peninsula in Upper Michigan. A fierce November storm tossed the ship with a crew of 23 and 240 new Chrysler automobiles onto a Lake Superior reef. For the first time, Shipwrecked and Rescued, Cars and Crew tells the near-tragic story of the deep snow and near-zero temperatures. Journalist and historian Larry Jorgensen's detailed research and collection of historical photos chronicles what happened, introduces the key players, and finally reveals the fate of those collectors' prizes in the century since. Proudly published by Fresh Ink Group, Shipwrecked and Rescued is available worldwide in jacketed hardcover, softcover, and all ebook formats.
Now there's some Michigan history for a Michigan-oriented show.
Yes, the Michigan slant is on. And speaking of Michigan, we've also got Burr Wayne, a former Michigander, now living in the armpit of Florida. He's got a tweet out here touting his I Hate My Mother, a true story childhood abuse story, Bella, that is now available in paperback and Kindle and all that good stuff. So if you want to check out the link, check out the YouTube video, go to Twitter, type in hashtag Fresh Ink Group, and click on the latest at the top, and you'll find his tweet there, and you can check all that stuff out.
Yeah.
So, okay. Tonight's guest, wherever you're at, John Howell turned to writing as a full-time occupation after an extensive career in business. John writes thriller, fiction, novels, and short stories. His story, Cold Night Out, won an honorable mention in Writer's Digest Popular Fiction Contest this year. He also won first place in the Kurt Vonnegut Kilgore Trout Novel Contest, celebrating Kurt Vonnegut as an author. His short story, Never Give In, was selected to be published in the Miracle E-Zine fifth issue, published in April of 2014. And with that, John Howell, welcome back to the show.
Hey, thank you, guys.
Hi, John.
Very, very pleased to be here. Hi, Stephen. Hi, Beem.
Hey.
Right.
Yeah, now before we get into talking to you about stuff, let's talk about giving things away. You're going to give away a book today?
That's right. And what I want to do is to encourage callers is to I understand we already have two, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to give a book to the first caller, but it's kind of embarrassing because if we have two on hold, how about if I just give those two a Kindle book from Amazon?
Ooh, all right. Oh,
It'll be
cool.
The Last Drive, of course, my latest book, and I'll, of course, need their email somehow. I don't want to do it over the air, but I guess you guys will figure that out, right?
Yeah. Now, that's two free books for our first two callers who are already on hold here. We wanted to encourage even more callers after that, too. So after these two callers, we get more calls. We'll talk about giving you your choice of a free Fresh Ink Group ebook, an author of your choice. Or, maybe we'll buy a John Howell for you. Depends on what you've already got in your collection. So people call in tonight. We're throwing books out like Oprah gives away cars.
Chucking them against the wall.
Yeah. All right.
John,
so what?
John.
So Beem, yes.
So Beem.
How you been doing, man? It's been a while since
we
had you on.
I've been doing great.
You were one of our earliest guests, one of our first guests on the show some time ago, and good to have you back.
Yeah, and it was so fun. It was.
We've mentioned that there's the Michigan connection here. So obviously you were originally from Michigan. Where all have you lived, and where are you living now? Let's bring everybody up to speed on that.
Oh my gosh, yeah, I've lived all over. I was born in Detroit, which is where my ancestral home is, and then right during college, I left there, and I've never gone back in terms of living there. But I've lived in the Midwest, Columbus, Ohio, Chicago. I've lived in the East, Connecticut, New York area, and I've pretty much settled in Texas. I got into consulting after I finished a stint in organized commerce, and one of my consultants said, "Hey, we can't have you being a consultant working on what you're working on because it was pretty high profile stuff. So we want to make you an employee." And I went, "Oh, that's good." And they said, "Don't forget, there's benefits." So I went, "Yeah, well, fine." Well, that was out in California. It was in I lived in Sonoma, which is wine country in California.
Oh, beautiful.
I know. And then as luck would have it, the company, we went through a whole bunch of acquisitions, and I worked on those. And then the company decided to move the headquarters out of the California area into San Antonio, Texas. So
another beautiful area.
Yeah, it was a great area. Well, the
Yeah.
thing was, at that time, I was about 60. I think I was about 66 years old. This is my, I've had several careers. And my boss said, I said, do I have to go, to San Antonio? Because I love Sonoma. He goes, no, you don't have to go, but your job's there. So if you want to stay here, I mean, you're going to be unemployed and be an old man unemployed. And I went, that's not going to work.
No.
So I did come to San Antonio, and then I moved down. Once I retired, down to the coast, lived on Mustang Island, which is Port Aransas to a lot of people that know it. And then after Hurricane Harvey, which blew things to smithereens, my wife and I moved to Austin, Texas, to be a little closer to our daughter. So that's a 30-second scan of where I've been.
So then what you're saying is you've never lived in Idaho. That's what I took
Idaho
away
has
from all
not
that.
been, no, Idaho has not been on my list, except when I go to the store.
There's a potatoes, huh?
Potato, right, yeah, okay.
It had to be hard to leave Sonoma. Napa gets all the press, but the next valley over, Sonoma, that is just phenomenal. That's my favorite
was
part of California.
It was absolutely great. And my wife worked, I don't know if you've heard of the brand Sebastiani.
Yeah.
But she worked for Sebastiani Vineyards. And when you work for a vineyard, you have what is called a courtesy rate around town. In other words, you go to a restaurant and you sit down, and she would present her card, and we would get a courtesy rate, which was 50%.
Ooh.
And you go to buy wine, the wine, same thing, same stuff. And I'm real proud of her because she made the brand Vendange the number one Chardonnay in the country, and that was kind of exciting.
Oh,
but
cool.
then we had to leave, and there's no courtesy rate here in Austin.
Well.
Now, Austin,
Great.
I mean, coming from the island there, both in Texas, was there a culture shock? I mean, because Austin's a little more, free spirited, I guess.
Well, we lived right on the Gulf. I walked the beach every day, and sort of like Alabama, Stephen. It's kind of a resort community, and we had a lovely house there, and really loved it there. And we stayed 10 years. When we moved in, my wife said, we really have to find a house. I said, why don't you go to Austin and find a house? And she said, okay. So she said, I found a house. I said, well, buy it. She said, well, don't you want to see it? I said, no. Because the old adage, if Mama likes it, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to like it, no matter what.
The dogs will like it.
The old dogs will like it, right? So when we moved in, it was 27 degrees on March 3rd. I'll never forget that. We had just left a 4-hour drive, and it was like 76. So it wasn't culture shock because the beach is pretty laid back. But the weather shock was kind of something to get used to. Because we hadn't seen any winter weather for, 10 years, I guess.
And now you get to see the bluebonnets every spring.
Every spring, yeah.
Every spring.
I just featured them on my blog this week.
Cool. So why don't we roll another commercial, Beem, and then we've got some phone callers.
All right.
Submariner. 30 years of hijinks and keeping the fleet afloat. Jerry Pate's semi-autobiographical collection of 60 stories recounts his 30 years in and around the U.S. Navy submarine fleet, ranging from lighthearted to wrenching. All are poignant inside looks at naval operations rarely seen by outsiders. Topics include the real story behind the shuttle Challenger tragedy, risking his own life underwater, discovering a Soviet spy living across the street, surviving when an engine ignites, critical missions, and the everyday lives of men and women of the fleet. Compiled by author Robert G. Williscroft and proudly published by Fresh Ink Group. Submariner is available worldwide in hardcover, softcover, and all ebook formats. Dive into Submariner for hijinks and breathtaking adventure with this poignant memoir by a true American hero.
All right, and as you heard Stephen talk about, that book is doing quite well. It's in our weekly top 5, so get out and grab a copy. And I say that all the time about these books, but seriously, these are some really good stories. This one's a true story, so you got that. Get out there. Grab it. All right. So, John, we are going to take a phone call. How's that?
Sounds good.
All right. We are going to go with the 505 Albuquerque. Hello, Albuquerque. What's your name? You're on the air.
Oh. Hello, my name is Kirsten. I actually follow his blog under Willow Croft, so that's my pen name. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Hi, Willow.
Hi, Willow.
Hello.
So do you have a question or a comment for John?
Okay, I love the 10 things that he does on his blog, and I was just curious about how he finds inspiration for those blog posts on his blog.
Yeah, that's a great question, Willow.
Yeah.
By the way, you're the proud owner of an ebook edition of The Last Drive, which is my latest. So
excellent. Thank you.
We'll have to somehow find how I can mail it.
Let's get this out of the way right now before you answer the question. Willow, if you go to just send your email where he can send this to info@Fresh Ink Group, and we'll get it. info@freshinkgroup.com.
Great. I will do that.
Okay, John.
By the way, Willow now and then stops by my blog, and I'm always happy to hear from her. Those 10 things I've been doing for, I've been blogging since 2012. I've been doing them since then.
John, do you want to tell us what they are for those who aren't familiar with having seen them on your blog?
Yeah, that's a good point, Stephen.
Yeah.
Most people have developed the top 10 list of all of life, activities. My list is the top 10 things not to do under certain circumstances. So, for instance, if you're visiting a bar, do not stand close to someone expecting them to talk to you. If you do, at best, they'll move away. At worst, you might be surprised to find yourself an unwilling volunteer for a jiu-jitsu demonstration with you as a student.
Yeah.
Then in parentheses, I always make a comment. That thumb hold is pretty painful, isn't it, Monkey?
Yeah.
So this is a humorous look at life, really. And I've positioned it as things not to do as opposed to things to do. And I'm glad you like them, Willow, because I really enjoy putting them together. And my inspiration, as I say, comes from everyday life. Of course, I've gone into a bar. Gee, guilty. And I've seen people do things in bars that would absolutely scorch your hair. So all I do is kind of mentally record those things and then replay them. And I think the subjects range, on the holidays, top things not to do at Christmas, top things not to do at New Year's, those kinds of things. Thanks for the question.
Okay. Well, do you have anything else, Willow?
Yes, and they are hilarious, and they're one of my favorite things about the blog. So thank you.
Oh, I'm glad you like them, Willow. Thanks for calling in.
Yeah, and make sure you subscribe to our newsletter, Willow, so you can hear about more shows and the next time John's going to be on.
Yeah. Great.
Thanks, Will. All right. Take another call?
Yeah.
Let's take this 989 area code. Hello, Florida. What's your name?
Good evening, gentlemen. It's for Wayne down in Madison, Florida.
Yeah.
Florida. How you doing tonight, Wayne?
I was doing good. It was a beautiful day here, so we enjoyed it.
All righty.
I just wanted to tell John I've read Eternal Road, and I'm going to pick this one up here shortly. This next one.
For Wayne?
Oh.
It's already yours because you were the second caller, and I was giving away a book free to the first and second. So I'm going to send you. I'm going to send you a Kindle version because quite honestly, it's cheaper.
We've got Verwayne's email too, so we can pass that on to you, John.
Oh, that'd be great.
Great.
Thank you. I enjoyed Eternal Road, so we'll see where this one takes me.
Yeah, the press I'm getting, not to tout the book too much, but the press I'm getting is that The Last Drive is even better than Eternal Road, which makes me very happy because, sometimes you don't know if you're doing the right thing, and it came out real well, I think.
It's getting a lot of positive feedback, that's for sure. Good reviews, good ratings, good buzz.
I look forward to reading it. Like I said, the first one was very entertaining.
Thanks, Verwayne.
Yeah,
and I appreciate your support. I appreciate your support on Twitter too. You're someone that tends to come in there once in a while and redo my tweets and stuff, and I like that.
Not
redo them. You like remodels them and stuff?
No, he retweets them.
Well,
Sorry, I said redo.
I paint them up.
Paint them up.
I paint them red, blue.
Tag them with some graffiti.
Yeah.
Beem is keeping me very honest. I love that.
But
somebody's got to do it.
I love your support.
I will second Verwayne's review on the Eternal Road. I read that too and really enjoyed it. And I have The Last Drive on my Kindle, and as soon as I get done with the I don't know, 5 or 6 that's on my next TBR, I'll hit that one too.
Cool cover too.
Well,
on Eternal Road.
I'm sorry.
I said cool cover on that Eternal Road too. I really like that.
Yeah, that was. I've had the same cover artist for all my books, and we always negotiate those. She's very flexible, which is kind of a good thing. My TBR, I'm going to will to my grandkids.
Yeah,
I don't think I'm ever going to get there.
Oh yeah, I think we're all in that same kind of boat.
Right.
Yeah, put them in the box with me. I'll just take them with me.
All right, Verwayne. We appreciate your call, and send your lovely wife our best.
Yeah.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Yeah.
Thank you, Verwayne.
Yeah.
Yep. Take care. Best of luck, John.
Yep. I'm still kind of hung up on John's phrase, not to tout the book too much. Isn't that an oxymoron, touting a book too much? I didn't think you could tout a book too much.
Yeah, you're probably right. I get a little shy sometimes, when it comes to trying to force a book on someone.
Yeah. Well, I think of Dr. Helen Burrell, who has no shyness in her at all. I mean, that woman can have a stroke, and on the way to the hospital, she's selling copies of her books to the ambulance people,
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I'm proud of both books, Eternal Road and The Last Drive. They're kind of the origin of the books are really back when I lost my dad when I was a 10-year-old kid, and I just couldn't figure out. Parents, they try to help, or your mom tries to help, and uncles and everything try to help, but I just couldn't figure out where the justice was in having, my dad had served in the war, so I only had him for like 5 years, and I just couldn't figure it out. So I designed what I thought would be the ultimate afterlife. And to me, the ultimate afterlife is being able to pick how you want to spend that time. You get to go to places and try things on, check things out. And so Eternal Road started that, and the vehicle is an Oldsmobile, and
beautiful car,
an old Oldsmobile. Yeah, beautiful car. By the way, I used to wax a car like that. That's why I picked it when I was in high school.
Never got to drive it. You got to wax it?
No. Just I had Lincolns. I had clients run around the neighborhoods, and I had Lincolns I could never drive in. The old 4-door suicide door Lincoln.
Oh yeah.
The 56 Lincoln. I used to shine that, and the Olds I used to shine it. And anyway, the Olds takes our characters wherever they want to go, and in whatever time frame they want to go. So The Last Drive really is an offshoot of Eternal Road, and I've declared the word last being the operative word, that there probably won't be another one. But I keep getting people saying, hey, we love these characters, and maybe you ought to do another book. I don't know how many more places I can send these folks. So I just have to kind of think about that. Last Drive, of course, gets a little more tense than Eternal Road, because Lucifer, he's the guy he's the antagonist in both books. And he's the guy that doesn't like to give up easily. So he pretty much starts ratcheting up the challenges. I mean, if you can imagine, my characters are not allowed to change anything that will alter the future. They can't do anything that will alter the future. So Lucifer says, oh, this is good. I think I'll send him to World War I France. Throw him in a trench and see how they like that. See if, they'll do anything for anybody that'll alter the future. Or maybe if that's not working, I'll send them on the Titanic. Now get this: these are four characters are fairly pure. They're not angels yet, but they're pretty close. So what is their first thought when they get on the Titanic? How to save everybody? Well, they can't do that. So what they have to do is sit there while Lucifer cackles and pulls his mustache and try to do something to help these people without altering the future. So that then becomes their soul challenge. It's a soul, SOUL challenge. How to save or perhaps help save folks without altering the future. So
Lucifer cackle
from place to place.
Lucifer cackle sounds like it would have been a great title for a Black Sabbath song.
Or a porn star.
I think you're right. Do you have a T-shirt, Black Sabbath T-shirt? I hope.
I do. I have a 73 World Tour T-shirt from Black Sabbath.
Excellent. I knew you would. No, that's perfect. In fact, Lucifer, some of the reviews even point out they hate it, people reading, but Lucifer becomes somewhat of a likable character. As when you first meet him, he's pretty bon vivant, kind of nice guy. Of course, as he gets nastier and nastier, he shows his true colors. And luckily, readers who have written reviews say they don't like him in the end, which is the way it's supposed to be.
Supposed to, yeah.
Yeah. So
seems like if you're going to party with somebody, Lucifer would be the one with all the good stories.
I think he has all the good liquor too.
Oh yeah,
probably. Yeah. Well, there you go. So why
all
not?
Right.
You know?
So Beem, you say we got another caller?
We do.
All right.
This
You want to roll
is...
You want to roll a commercial and then bring that person in?
Sure.
Best-selling author Gwen M. Plano presents The Culmination, A New Beginning, the final book in the Contract thriller series. In the first book, co-penned by best-selling author John W. Howell, the Earth is threatened with a catastrophic event, and Heaven's leadership intervenes with extraordinary measures to ensure the survival of the planet. In Book 2, The Choice, a confidential team uncovers a traitorous conspiracy that has as its goal world domination. The pressing question is, who can be trusted and who cannot? The Culmination, A New Beginning brings the Contract thriller trilogy to a close. After an assassination attempt on an Air Force base in Northern California, tensions mount. Heads of state meet to craft a denuclearization agreement. The meetings between these nuclear powers take a murderous turn. A nefarious conspiracy reemerges and leads the characters into the heart of the Middle East, where they encounter the unexpected and find a reason for hope. Grab your copy now of The Culmination, A New Beginning by Gwen M. Plano. Available worldwide in hardcover, paperback, and all major ebook formats. The Culmination is proudly published by Fresh Ink Group.
Right.
Yeah.
So, yeah, John, you had a little hand in that series, or a big hand, actually.
I did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, at least in the first book I did.
Yeah. All right, let's take a call. This one is from Orange County, California, area code 949. How you doing tonight, California? You're on the air.
Hi, Beem. Hi, Beem. This is Gwen.
Whoa,
hi, Gwen.
Welcome to the show, Gwen.
Thank you. I couldn't resist, and I have to thank you for running the Culmination trailer. That's awfully nice of you.
Yeah. And for listeners, that was completely unplanned. I had no idea that this was Gwen's phone number here.
Oh, you did too.
No, I didn't.
I did not.
This was
living in Arizona, but with a California phone number had us fooled.
Yeah, I wouldn't change my number either, Gwen. I wouldn't.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Well, at this stage in the game, I'd forget my number if it changed. I have to have this one. But
that's right.
You know,
well, Orange County is such a beautiful place. So.
Yeah, why not? And anyway, I do have a question. And I have to say, John is one of the most creative people I know. And he always has an answer. So now I'm going to question him. Here we go.
Here we go.
So this relates to the last drive, actually, the first one as well. But if your characters were to visit the United States now, if they were to visit, not any special one event, but just would visit here, what do you think those folks, what role or what help could they give us for the kind of things we see happening in the United States? Do you think they'd say something, or would Lucifer hop in and maybe he'd have a few choice words? But I just wanted to hear you from the characters.
That's a great question. I think Lucifer has already been working here. All right. So we've already had a situation, where I think Lucifer said, "Okay, I'm going to send these characters here and try to undo what I've done." I think what I would try to do, since we don't know the future. In other words, we're not going into the past, so we don't know the future. So these characters, by intervening, so to speak, would not alter the future. They would be making the future. So I think they would be pretty free to take on a persona or so of peacemakers, of I don't know, bringing two sides together for a common good. In other words, I think they could help both sides recognize that there is a common good and to embrace that common good and give up what they feel is their own special interest. And I think they could do that without worrying about a time tear in the continuum.
And
I'd have them become the next Academy Award winners who would get on the stage instead of denigrating America, would go ahead and talk to what the good things about America are, including winning the Academy Award. Maybe that would help.
Or they would slap somebody.
They could slap somebody. That would.
And you know what,
but I think,
John?
I think they could. Yes. What?
I think that's like your third book of the series, but also this is what you do in your blog every Friday. That's my favorite day of your blog, Friday. Just so you know, I love that day. But answering this question,
do you know how that day came about, Gwen? Do you know how that day came about?
No, I don't.
Okay. For your listeners, guys, I run a good news. It's called Friday Janku, which is a haiku that I author. And somebody said, your haikus are so bad, we're going to call them Jankus. So, okay, I'm stuck with that. Then there's a hyphen, which is TGIF, and another hyphen, which is Fry-yay, good news. And all I do is put a piece of good news that can help us get from Friday to Monday to the next Friday. And it has to be really good news. The origin of that blog piece, that post, is that I was getting so negative. Personally, I was getting negative on my own blog about what was going on. And I had to stop that. My producer walked in and said, you need to stop this now. And you need to go to a different format. And it has to be an uplifting format. And she was absolutely right. So I went to the good news. I went to the good news format. That's how it was born. And I'm glad you like it.
Yeah.
I love it.
It's called being a light in the darkness.
Well, thank you. And think about that third book.
Man, Gwen, you inspired me there.
So the next one will be the last drive?
No,
the beginning drive.
the what would it be called? The 18th hole drive.
Oh,
there you go.
That'd be good. Well, thank you all.
Now, caller,
thank you for calling in.
You have won your choice of a Fresh Ink Group book, so let us know which one you would like. We've got three by Gwen M. Plano that are especially good. You might want to consider.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Gwen. Thanks a lot.
I'm over here on a time lag. I'm still stuck on John Koo. For Halloween, you write Boo-Koo. I mean, you could just have all kinds of fun with that.
That would be fun. Boo-Koo. I'm going to use that. Stephen, can I use that?
You can have it.
Or do I have to tell everybody where I got it?
No. It's yours.
Okay, good.
We have another caller if you want to take this one.
Sure. You want to roll one more commercial and then we'll just talk to callers.
All right. Let's see this one right there.
Submariner, 30 years of hijinks and keeping the fleet afloat. Jerry Pate's semi-autobiographical collection of 60 stories recounts his 30 years in and around the U.S. Navy submarine fleet, ranging from lighthearted to wrenching. All are poignant inside looks at naval operations rarely seen by outsiders. Topics include the real story behind the shuttle Challenger tragedy, risking his own life underwater, discovering a Soviet spy living across the street, surviving when an engine ignites, critical missions, and the everyday lives of men and women of the fleet. compiled by author Robert G. Williscroft and proudly published by Fresh Ink Group. Submariner is available worldwide in hardcover, softcover, and all ebook formats. Dive into Submariner for hijinks and breathtaking adventure with this poignant memoir by a true American hero.
Any title with hijinks in it, got to be good.
Yep, it does. It really does.
All right, let's dip into another phone call here. This one, I believe, is from Ann Arbor, Michigan. Hello, Ann Arbor. You're on the air.
Well, it's pretty stinking close to Ann Arbor. It's Westland.
Oh, all right.
That sounds
Hello,
like Annette.
Hi. How you doing?
Hi, guys.
We were talking about you before the show started.
We were talking about you.
And you just did when you said buku, but we won't go there because it's not about my books. But that's okay.
Yeah, okay.
I wanted to say, when I heard everybody talking about their favorite blog stuff, I like Thursdays. Twiggy and Lucy.
Twiggy and Lucy.
Yeah.
My girls. They're my buddies.
That's the dogs?
Yeah,
they're
they're two dogs. Yeah, they're two dogs. One is a boxer, very big boxer, and the other is a French bulldog, and they're both women, and they have they have things to say about life and liberty and the pursuit of happiness, and
yes,
they do it every Thursday. Yeah.
And AstroTurf and other wonderful things.
Oh yeah.
It's so cool that you have AstroTurf in your backyard. I'm like,
I'll
that
tell you,
blew me away.
I had to do it.
Gosh. I mean, if I was a dog, I'd have something to say, because something about smelling fresh grass and leaving your mark on fresh grass. I would imagine as a dog, I personally have not done that, but then AstroTurf, it would be like...
I'm kind of glad in that. I'm kind of glad.
Gee whiz.
And that may be just a little bit too much information right now.
TMI on that. But I wanted to ask, if I may, how Lucy's doing.
Yeah, Lucy is, for everybody here on the call, and Lucy has cancer, and it's terminal. But she is living the best life she can. We have elected not to do any chemo or any of that because we did all that with our other dog Bailey, and it was a total miserable experience for all of us, including poor Bailey. So we're not doing that. We're just letting her. She's under pain management, which is very effective. She's absolutely pain-free. She gets out, walks. She loves her, little strolls in the yard. She loves AstroTurf, by the way, Anna. She loves
I'm glad to know that. I'm always thrilled to see
Well, she
her
was always particular about, the grass when the grass was wet and stuff. Lucy didn't really like it, but the turf she loves. So, and she's declining at this stage right now. She has to be helped to the couch and helped down the stairs and that. But she's still, and what we've said to ourselves, when her quality of life is not where it should be, that is going to be the end. But she's eating, enjoying what she's doing. She's alert. So it's just not time yet, but it will be time.
Well, and I almost didn't bring it up, but I thought, I read the posts and I talk to her in my head and in my heart, and I'm like, Lucy, you are an inspiration to a lot of humans as well as to a lot of other critters, because there are so many people that don't know how to just enjoy their life regardless of their circumstances. And she does.
Right.
She does. She seems to really enjoy still hanging out with Twiggy and with you guys and watching the season.
Yeah, she really does. Yeah.
She really does.
She loves us, and she loves every part of her daily life. I mean, she's very active. One of the reasons we brought the whole situation into the Thursday thing is this kind of situation people have to talk about,
Right.
With themselves, with their loved ones or whatever.
Yeah.
So we've been pretty public with the two of them having fun. So we did make the conscious decision to be public. Well, basically when it's not so much fun.
Right.
Yeah.
But that's all part of life. I mean, life is fun, life is not fun.
Right. So I'm glad you find her a spirit, sort of a.
Oh, buddy, I love her. I love them both. I think they're just adorable and snarky and
Well, Twiggy's beyond the pale. She's just spoiled rotten. I mean, she's just. if you know anything about French bulldogs, I mean, if you don't have a whip and a gun, you might as well forget it, because they just work the house. I mean, they know what they need, they know what they want, and they know how to get it. They just work it.
They've got you up on your little table in the center ring, and they crack away. And
right. Well, she had her teeth cleaned recently, and the people asked, called and they asked, well, how's she doing? I said, she's a French bulldog. How do you think she's doing?
Yeah.
She's.
They're tipping her for the honor of taking care of her, right?
Yeah. Exactly.
That's funny. Well, I was just enjoying everything, and when I heard Gwen call in, I thought, oh my gosh, okay, I'm gonna call in.
So glad you did.
Thank you guys, and enjoy, and give my love to the baby girls, and I'll be looking forward to tomorrow to finding out what's going on.
Sure will.
We see you over here on Twitter too, Annette. Howdy to John Howell, who is live tonight on a podcast with Fresh Ink Group, Beem Weeks, and Stephen G's.
All right.
Yeah.
Thanks, Annette.
Thanks,
Take
Annette.
care, you guys. I'll keep listening.
All right.
All right.
Take care of the big D for us.
Yeah, and speaking of Twitter, we've got quite a few over here on Twitter. So you want to take turns with some of these, Stephen?
Sure. We got a comment from Robert Williscroft. We mentioned that the audio book for Operation Whiteout, a Mac McDowell mission, has been uploaded and should be appearing any minute now. And Robert Williscroft, its author, says, I can't believe how slow Audible is for Operation Whiteout. Actually, it's been, only about a week and a half, something like that, Beem?
Yeah.
Since we got that up, and they were running. They were running 6 to 8 weeks a year ago. So right now we're expecting probably in about a week at the most. So they're doing all right. And you got a comment from Verwayne?
Got a comment from Verwayne. He says, the wife and I read Outshined, 2nd edition, and we were impressed. If you are dealing with cancer in any form, the underlying message here is something you need to read. A good endorsement there.
Yeah, and then Joe Conjal says, Fresh Ink Group, hey, everyone, looking forward to John on tonight's show, smiley face.
Yeah, and then Matthew McConaughey says, I'm sitting down here and listening to the show while in the break from my latest movie. Just kidding. Joan Hall says hello to John Howell. He's now a fellow Texan.
Yeah. Verwayne Greenhoe. My first new car was a 1971 blue and white Olds Cutlass S. Man, I had an Olds Cutlass, but mine was 1975. Oh, those were great cars. Those 1970
I had a 1970 Cutlass.
All right.
A muscle car. And Joan Hall says, I love John's Friday posts.
Yeah.
So, now,
all right.
Thanks, Joan. We see Joan in there, and we had Gwen that called. These are all Story Empire people. This would be a good time to segue into talking about Story Empire. Is John, you're part of Story Empire?
Mind. I am.
So
what is
tell us
it?
how you became involved, and what is it, and how you became involved. Yeah.
Yeah. What is it? I think people who read the Story Empire posts, they come out on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. They know that these are very, very qualified and quality writers providing advice for anybody who may be having some struggles or maybe just want to refine what they're doing. And there's so much good advice every week. Not that I'm part of it, that I think it's good advice, but my peers, I always consider them more than a notch above what I'm doing in terms of their abilities, their talent, the amount of work that they can accomplish, and the amount of help that they give their fellow authors, including all of us on Story Empire. Now, that's the public side. The private side is a group of people who really care about each other and want to make sure that, as a team, want to make sure that each of the members are doing well in terms of how they expect to be doing. In other words, we all don't, have a great super day every single day of the week. But there are times when we need to turn to each other and say, I'm having this problem, or I just don't feel well, or whatever it is. And the group is always there to sort of give loft to the wings of each of the members. Is kind of the way I put it. How I became involved, I was a follower at one point, and I was asked to join. And very pleased to do so. I mean, I couldn't write the acceptance fast enough. I had to actually call it in. My fingers didn't work that quick because I was very impressed with what I would say the collective conscience of the group in terms of wanting to be absolutely the best there is in helping others and being the best there is in their own careers.
That's a well-made point about that mutual support, too. The group communicates internally through Slack, and one of the categories for communicating is place to rant. Place to rant. Yeah. That's where I go. That's why I always go first when I open Slack. Let's see who's ranting about what and get in there and rant with them.
Yeah.
So, John, when we talked a couple of days ago, we mentioned there's a bee cave. You've got a story about a bee cave. What's a bee cave?
Oh, yeah. Well, that's interesting. There's a town next to our town. My town is called Lakeway, and there's a lake. In the next town over, it's called Bee Cave, and there's a cave of bees, which, I don't think I ever heard of a town being named after something that really existed. But I can just imagine all the people back in the 1800s seeing this large cave and saying, hey, we can go in there for shelter, only to be met with 10 million bees, which I think would have been a kind of a defining moment. So they actually named the town after the cave of bees. And the reason Stephen brings it up is I've been asked to come over on April 2nd and be part of a festival they have. It's a Bee Cave Festival, and they have a number of authors there. And we're going to be, talking with folks about our books and stuff. And I just think it's a nice thing to do. And it's all sponsored by the Bee Cave Library. And I'll tell you, libraries are, just almost the lifeblood of an author in terms of reaching new people.
Yeah.
And the BK Library is probably the best library I have come in contact with probably in the last 10 years.
Oh, cool. I'm picturing the author of Aquila and the Bee doing readings there on bee nights.
Well, actually, around town, it's interesting because around town they have various statues, and they're little short things so kids can look at them. But they're bees, and the bees are dressed up in certain, and the statues are made of, I wouldn't say bronze, but a hard material. so that the weather doesn't get to them or anything. And it's kind of colorful. There's, I think, 21 of them around town. And you can walk around with the story of each bee and, tell your kids and that kind of thing. So it's kind of a nice thing.
Yeah, these festivals around the U.S. and in all these small town areas are so cool. Like up in Fayetteville, Tennessee, I try to get up there to the Slaw Burger Festival every year, every summer, and it's like, it's just cool. A bunch of local people, and I'm picturing the Bee Cave Festival. You invite a big rock band, but they're only allowed to play their bee singles, their B sides.
Oh, Stephen, that was.
And by the way, I just want to mention this. Earlier in the show, we had a phone call from Kirsten, and on the way out, I mentioned to her she should subscribe to our newsletter. She did.
All right.
I've been notified she is now a subscriber. So I have to get up and do my little dance.
There you go.
Yeah. So, John, you've got a bunch of books out. Let's try to sell some books real quick. We've already talked about the contract that you did with Gwen M. Plano, which is the first in the trilogy, where she did the last two books. And we've talked about the current pair, The Last Drive and Eternal Road, The Final Stop. And then we're looking at some more books here as well. My Girl, His Revenge. You want to tell us about these? Pick whatever one you want. Let's talk about them.
Okay. The My Girl, His Revenge, Our Justice is a trilogy. And it's a story of a kind of an ordinary guy. His name is John Cannon. He's a lawyer. We don't hold that against him.
Yeah, we do. Come on, admit it.
Well, okay, yeah, I guess we do. And what makes it worse is he's a litigation attorney.
Ooh.
So he has tons of money that he has won from tons of cases that he has prevailed. Luckily, most of it is insurance money, so not too many individuals were hurt in the making of this book. So he decides that, he's been working, 11 years straight, hasn't really had a holiday, so he decides to take one. And he goes down to a town called Port Aransas. Remember that from when I talked about it? Yeah. And he really decides he wants to live that life. And he figures he'll buy a boat. So he looked at a real nice boat. It's a 95-footer. And he buys it. And unbeknownst to him, a group of terrorists had already had their eye on that boat. And what they want to do with that boat is fill it with explosives and ram the port of New York while the midshipmen are there on their summer cruise. So that is not a good thing.
Mm.
So what we do is we follow John through My Girl. And by the way, My Girl is spelled G-R-L, and that's the name of the boat. You know how you throw out all the vowels when you name a boat. He just decided to name it My Girl and threw out the I, and there it is. So My Girl is the name of the boat. His Our Justice is the second book, and what John had done is really, really ticked off the backer of the terrorists, because he had all kinds of nefarious plans, and John, of course, in the end, probably prevailed and made everybody angry. So the second book is His Revenge. The antagonist actually gets back to John and puts John in a world of hurt. And the final book, Our Justice, is, well, as the title would indicate, we get a resolution. Now, John's an ordinary kind of guy. Yeah, he's a lawyer, but he's not a superhero. He doesn't have big muscles or anything else. So what he has to use is his brain to kind of outfox people. He gets kidnapped, he gets beaten, he gets, thrown in the hold of a ship, he gets, all kinds of stuff. And so the reader follows him on that journey, those three books. You don't have to read book 1, 2, or 3 to understand everything that's going on, because each story is a little different. It's just that the characters are the same. And that's why I was kind of forced to call it a trilogy instead of, a series. The next book is called Consequences of Childhood. Oh, I'm sorry. Circumstances. Yeah, Consequences. That was different. Circumstance of Childhood. And this one is about two really good friends who go to high school together, and they both have a dream. And the dream is to become NFL football players. And they're both pretty good. In junior high, they were recognized for being pretty good players. And so they basically go on to college. They actually go to University of Texas, by the way, and they become Longhorns. And unfortunately, only one of them makes the big time. The other just doesn't make it. And in making the big time, of course, there is, after Texas, there's an NFL career. After the NFL career, there's endorsements. After endorsements, there's a broadcasting career. And then finally, our protagonist, decides to found a fund. He establishes, it's more or less a mutual fund, and he seeds it with his own money, and he gets all kinds of depositors and everything else. And everything's going along great until the FTC does an audit, and they find about $20 million out of $2 billion missing. He can't explain it. Nobody seems to be able to explain it. But when the forensics are done, the keystrokes that caused the money to disappear came from his computer. Obviously, this is not a good thing. Obviously, he goes from riches to rags, and so what we do is we follow him in that journey. And his friend, who never made any kind of heroic points, actually helps him through the problem. And in the end, he and his friend are joined together. I'll tell you right now, the friend was killed in a car crash back in college. So we have a friend who is really a spirit.
Wow.
All right.
Straight, right up my alley.
Yeah, I don't want to give too much away.
Yeah. That's cool. Now, every time I look up John W. Howell on Amazon, it tries to sell me History of the Incandescent Lamp. What's that all about?
I know.
I don't know why. Every time. History of the Incandescent Lamp.
Yeah. I do not know. I can't seem to get that away from me. I've asked
like
several
a stain?
times. Well, this is a book that was written by John W. Howell, somebody of that name. And it was written, I think, I don't know, in the 40s or 50s. And it popped up magically.
Yeah.
And sometimes it disappears. And sometimes it comes back again.
Yeah.
And if you go to my book page, it's sitting there.
Wow. Which means it'll be over on Goodreads too, probably.
Yeah.
Probably.
Do you ever get like
and I haven't read it yet.
People approaching you and saying, "I just loved your story about the incandescent light"?
Well, I've been actually waiting for somebody to give me a call and say, could you come to our engineering conference and talk about the incandescent light? And I'd actually take them up on it. And I would invent some story about the incandescent lamp.
Huh. Well, I got dogged for like 15 years by a book about kidney stones written by G. Stevens. And you could go looking for my books, and not all of my books would be in there, but that kidney stone book was right there on top every time. And I mean, for years, that thing. And finally, this past year, it quit popping up. So I don't know what happened to the kidney stone book, but I'm afraid to say its name out loud. It might come back.
Yeah. No, I wouldn't.
Just don't say it 3 times.
Yeah. So, John, when our caller, Annette, called in, and she was talking about your Friday blog, and you explained your top 10 things not to do, word has it that maybe you're thinking about putting some of those together. That might be a book one of these days.
Yeah. I've got a number of them. As I said, I've been doing it for like 8 years. And what I thought I'd do is put together a real quick, not a quick book, sloppy, but a quick exposure of several of them, some of the, funnier ones, and do them by seasons and by events. In other words, try to do something around Labor Day, try to do something around Easter, something around because I've done top 10 things not to do on every holiday and almost every day of the week, so I can pretty much pick and choose. And I thought that might be my next endeavor.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Now, is there a memoir possibly coming out, or that you're putting together? My dear producer, who is also my spouse, thinks
not in that order, though.
No, I think producer is first.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Well, you have to give credit where credit is due.
Yeah.
She thinks I've lived an outrageous and very humorous life. And because I've lived 3 lives, basically on my 4th. And she thinks I should probably put together a memoir, but not the "Oh, poor is me" memoir. No, let's leave out all the trouble I've had and just put in some of the funnier elements of life as it has evolved. So I'm really kind of thinking about that. It makes me a little nervous because, I got to expose inner stuff and got to get tender and got to, sort of let people know that I'm not a machine, And so
Darn empathy.
I have to consider that. Yeah. Empath. Yeah, maybe I'm an empath. I got it. Anyway, so I'm thinking it over. But I think I definitely will do the top 10 things not to do. And now Gwen is, interestingly, today just inspired me on another course of events on another book. So who knows?
Ooh. It's hard not to be inspired when you're hanging out with Gwen. She's always talking ideas and big stuff in the future.
Yeah, she was great to work with, too.
Yeah, definitely. All right, well, we're getting down to the wrap it up stage here. We're going to put you on the spot and ask, do you have any advice for the authors out there?
Oh, yeah, I do. I really do. My advice has been the same since I first started writing, and that was in 2012. 2 points. 1, keep writing. And 2, don't show family and friends the stuff you've written until it's finished. Because family and friends will wonder where all that came from. And unfortunately, family and friends tend to be a little discouraging when you start writing scenes of the sexual nature and that kind of thing. They'll go, oh, gee, where did you learn that? One of those things. So my advice is really, really, and it's serious advice, just finish whatever you're working on. And there's plenty of time to show it to other people. And you should. You should get a critic group or beta readers or whatever. You should get them involved. But not when the thing is just being made, because that's the easiest way to get it destroyed. It's when it's being made. And then just keep writing. You got to keep writing. You can't stop.
Good advice.
Yeah. So, John, before we wrap up here, how can people find you? How can they contact you on social media, blog, website? Tell them about this blog.
Oh, yeah.
Facebook, Instagram.
I have a number of places. They can find me on my blog, and if they can remember my name, John W. Howell, they can get to my blog by just typing in http://johnwhowell.com. That'll get there.
All right.
I'm on Twitter, and people can find me on Twitter.
At Howell Wave.
Yes. www.twitter.com, Howell Wave. And then on Amazon, it's www.amazon.com, author John W. Howell. I think those are the important ones.
Cool. So, Beem, do we still have a caller holding?
Yes, we do. We can close out the show here with a call from Manhattan, New York. Hello, New York. You're on the air.
Hey, Luke.
Are you talking to me?
Yes,
hi,
we're
sounds
talking
like
to you,
Dr.
guys.
Helen.
I thought you forgot all about me, guys.
We didn't forget about you, Helen. We just had...
Yes, you did. Listen, I'm ill here, and this is my only social on Wednesday night with you guys. I wanted to ask, I want to congratulate the writer, but I want to ask my one main question, creative process. I don't know if you have time to go into it, but I'd love to know the writer's creative process.
Okay.
Sure, I can go into it real quick. You ready?
If you have any time for that.
No, I can do it. I can do it in 30 seconds or less.
All right.
My creative
my
process.
phone is not good, so maybe talk a bit louder.
Helen.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yes, now
Okay.
I hear you.
Good.
Okay, great. My creative process is I sit in front of the computer.
Yeah.
And start working. I'm serious. I actually
You sound
don't know
just
what
like
I'm
me. So
I don't know what I'm
experienced writers, right?
I don't know what I'm going to write.
You just let it come out, right?
Exactly.
Flow. It sounds like you're very good. You're very experienced at what you do.
Oh, thank you, Helen. It sounds like you're
and
pretty good,
I hope
too.
to read some of your books. I haven't had a chance, but I've enjoyed listening to the things you've said. So I congratulate you.
Thank you much.
You know, John, what you said there, what I get out of that is confidence. You know, a lot of people have all this self-doubt, and I think that's where some people even get writer's block. You know, they're not quite sure what to do, and they don't have that confidence or whatever. But if you know that if you can go sit at that keyboard and something's going to happen, that's confidence. Yeah. That's believing in yourself. That's knowing that you have things to say, and you just need to get in the right frame of mind, and here they come.
Yeah. Now, do you know what I've said writer's block is? It's that place where creative people gather to have coffee together.
That's a 1600 block.
I've never had writer's block because it flows out as you go. As years go by, it just flows right out, right?
Yeah.
Right. Well, I have a blog 6 days a week, unless there's something special, and then it's 7 days a week. And I quite honestly, Helen, do not know what I'm going to say every time I start
I'm with
the
you.
blog.
I'm right there. I've been doing it for decades, so it does. It's only when you first start that it's hard, but later on it flows, right?
Right. Correct.
Yeah. Right. So it's really good. I've got to read some of your books. I really do.
All right.
Okay. Well, I'd appreciate it if you would.
Yeah.
Sounds very exciting.
And leave reviews. Helen writes excellent long reviews, so that'll be good too.
Yeah.
Oh man, that would be great.
That's an idea. I'd like to review one of his books. Yeah.
Yeah, do that. All right. Well, thanks for calling in, Helen. We're glad to hear that you're doing well.
That book by Burrell. I could put it there.
Yeah.
You know.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
Thanks for calling, Helen.
And
okay. Thanks for getting back to me, guys.
Our guest this week has been John W. Howell, and his latest book, The Last Drive, is out there now. Everybody get out there and check that out. Next week, we're going to have Cheryl Carpinello, and after that?
After that is Jody Bowersock.
Yeah.
After that,
Patty Wiseman. And
following Patty Wiseman is Martin Herman. And after that, we're going to be working. I'm still trying to get some things lined up, but you'll find out when we find out.
Yeah, we've got a couple more books ready to come out in the next week or so, too. So we're going to have to get those authors booked as well.
Yeah.
So thanks again to John W. Howell. And those of you who called in today, use the contact form at Fresh Ink Group or send an email to info@freshinkgroup.com and let us know what book you want. The first two callers get some John Howell, and the other callers can get their choice of any Fresh Ink Group book. So Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Help spread the word. Make sure you subscribe to that newsletter, and we'll see you next week.
See you.
And thanks for having me, guys.
All right. Thanks, John.
Thanks a lot, John.
All righty. Bye-bye.
Check out FreshInkGroup.com for everything publishing. Meet scores of authors. Discover hundreds of great books, plus audiobooks, podcasts, videos, trailers, free stories, free manuscript evaluations, and more. That's FreshInkGroup.com.
You've been a part of Voice of Indie, a production of Fresh Ink Group. Spread the word, support our guests, then find us at FreshInkGroup.com and be sure to hashtag Fresh Ink Group.